Lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Thursday, that's really good, the County Commission report that Commissioner Bryant just gave us. That's some really good stuff about the really informative about the Amendment 11 and how it helps people in our community. The High Card Award going to Stacy Causey. She very deserving of that award. And, of course, the Animal Abuse Awareness Month, Animal Abuse Registry Awareness Month is a big deal for me. It's just one of those things where animals, they're like children. And that's the children I have. I have 4 dogs and a cat. And they're dependent on me and on my wife, more so on my wife, let's be honest. They're dependent on us for their care, their food, their shelter, everything. And they love unconditionally. So the fact that somebody could ever abuse one of them, it boggles my mind. And anybody that ever does that, they need to not ever be able to own animals again. People who run these big puppy mills need to never be able to own animals again. I mean, I've seen some horses that you go out to horse farms that they've taken horses from people that the horses were emaciated. How do you let that happen? And you need to be held accountable and then never allowed to own an animal again. I just, it boggles the mind. Or people that go, this is another one that gets me, and we had the tethering law, but it's really doesn't have a whole lot of teeth because of the way the ordinance had to be written. But the fact that people will go and put a chain around a tree and then put a 10-foot chain or 12-foot, 20-foot chain out and chain your dog to it, and that's all they got. And if they wrap themselves around that tree, they're just, sorry about your luck, you're stuck there. That's cruel. That's cruelty. So it's very important to me that everybody understand January in 2022 has been earmarked by the County Commission as Animal Abuser Registry Awareness Month. If you know somebody that you think's abusing an animal, call animal control. Let them know. A lot of times that's the only way they're going to find out. The only way. Hey, my neighbor has a dog out there that never gets to come inside during the winter, that's always left outside. You know, it doesn't have any kind of place to stay warm. You know, let people know that so that animal can have a better chance at life. Because, some people aren't good pet owners. Just like me, I knew I should never be a parent of children because my parenting skills I learned from my mother. My mother would hit us with extension cords and coat hangers and backhand us with her big diamond ring and cut our heads open. She'd snatch us around by our hair, pull our hair out. She'd hit us in the head, throw books at us. She hit me in the head with an unopened can of Crisco one time. That's the parenting skills I grew up with. Scared the hell out of me, so I decided not to have children. I think that's a wise decision. But Tom, how'd you learn to love animals so much? Same crazy woman that beat her children like that had a affinity and a softness for animals like no other. I even told her one time, we were in the middle of this heated argument about how she had abused me when I was like 22, 23. I'd been through counseling, went and, you gotta go and confront your abusers. I went to her and confronted her. I go, hell, you love Simon and Samantha more than you do me. And her exact response was, they don't talk back to me as much. I was talking about her 2 Siamese cats. She didn't deny it. She just said, they don't talk back to me. But this was a woman who loved animals. I got my love of animals from her love of animals. My younger sister, Lorna, got her love of animals from the way my mother loved animals. My mother had no business having children, but she was good with animals. Well, there are some people that aren't good with animals, and that's why this registry is so important. If you don't do anything else this month, but if you know of somebody abusing an animal, and abuse doesn't mean that you see them out there beating them with a stick all the time. That is abuse, but that's not the only form of abuse. If they chain them up and leave them attached to that chain for days on end, that's abuse. You know, they can't get the water or something like that because they're wrapped around a tree. That's abuse. If they're left outside in the winter months with no place to get for warmth, no doghouse with blankets or something like that, they're just left to fend in cold temperatures on the cold ground, that's abuse. If you see the dog running up and down the fence line, or the animal, whatever animal you see running up, and you can count their individual ribs in their rib cage, that means they're not getting enough nutrition. That's abuse. Abuse doesn't just mean beating an animal with a stick or beating an animal with a broom or anything like that. There's a lot of different things that constitute animal abuse. Report it so that these kind of people can't own animals again. January 2022 is known as Marion County Animal Abuser Registry Awareness Month. Please become aware. It's a very important situation. A lot less dogs and cats would have to be euthanized because of their injuries when they come into shelters if more people took notice of the people that were abusing animals around them. And like I said, abuse is not just beating an animal. Abuse can be chaining them up, leaving them outside in the weather with no form of any kind of shelter to get into. In the heat as well, the heat, the cold, the rain, all that's abuse if they have no area to go get a shelter in. Not feeding them regularly enough, that's abuse. Having a mother that sits in a box above the ground and her only, you notice that the mother's dirty and unclean and she's always got 10 puppies trailing her. That's probably a puppy farm. Report it. If nothing's going on wrong there, when animal control goes out there and checks, if nothing's going on wrong, animal control will say, well, at least we came out and investigated. Everything's good here. Move on. At least you know. Somebody knows. Animals have no way to pick up a phone and call anybody. A 9-year-old or a 10-year-old can go to his teacher and say, my mom beats me. It's hard for them to do, but they can do it. A 7-year-old dog can't tell the neighbor, hey, my owner beats me. Hey, my owner doesn't feed me enough. Hey, my owner doesn't give me any shelter. They can't communicate that to you. Just keep an eye out. The animal population is, it's never something that I've shied away from. I'm an animal lover, and my children are 4 dogs and a cat. I have no use for anybody that abuses animals. So let's get them put on the registry. It is Animal Abuser Registry Awareness Month, all of January in Marion County, Florida. We'll take a break. We'll be back to wrap up a Thursday edition of Ocala Talks. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Ocala Business Leaders Incorporated is a group of independent